I watched the Republican debate, and I saw this guy, Ron Paul. He's my new hero. You just never heard this logic from someone who's actually going to run the country. I think we just scratched the surface, and that's really my fault. I should have scratched it more, but after I saw you in the debate, I said, you know what, this is a person who I really want to talk to a lot more.
The point that you mentioned, the Wolf Blitzer question to Ron Paul, when he theorized the dying 30-year-old man, and
right,
and Mr. Paul said, Dr. Paul, and forgive me, he's an OB-GYN, and he has that attitude towards patients. He says that tells you something there too. But he says he'll have
just let him die.
No. I practiced medicine before we had Medicaid in the early 1960s when I got out of medical school. I practiced at Santa Rosa Hospital in San Antonio, and the churches took care of him. We never turned anybody away from the hospital, and we've given up on this whole concept that we might take care of ourselves, assume responsibility for ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, our churches.
Dr. Paul, and forgive me, he's an OB-GYN, and he has that attitude towards patients. He says that tells you something there too. But he says he should get health care, or he should make his own choices. When Blitzer then said, do we let him die, and the crowd cheered, I haven't heard anybody in the Republican mainstream.
The whole crowd didn't cheer.
But
that was a Tea Party crowd,
that's
and that's about guns, God, and religion.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking where the mainstream Republicans were saying those guys who cheered in that audience, whether they were 10 or 1,000, we don't believe in that. We stand for something that is a little less draconian than that. And I haven't heard that. Well, so I don't know how quiet, I don't know how silent this majority is, and I don't know if they're enough to take it back from Perry. For another reason, Romney redefines himself weekly. There's a new Mitt Romney every week. He's trying to get a different part of that group, and I don't know if he's going to get them all the way he wants them, or if he's going to alienate each group.
Well, if people don't know what we're talking about, maybe we can show the clip of Ron Paul talking to Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Blitzer says to Ron Paul, "You're a physician, Ron Paul, so you're a doctor."
Thank you, thank you.
Nothing gets past Wolf Blitzer, let me tell you. He says, and this isn't hypothetical, he says a healthy 30-year-old young man decides he's not going to buy health insurance, which, by the way, is very common among young people, because I remember being a young people.
At Cornell, you're going to live forever.
Right, we thought we were going to live forever. Okay.
I don't remember being young, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay, I'll tell you after the show. He says, I'm not going to spend $300 a month for health insurance because I'm healthy. I don't need it. But something terrible happens all of a sudden, and he needs it. Who's going to pay if he goes into a coma? Who pays for that? And Ron Paul says, well, in a society where you accept welfarism and socialism, he expects the government will take care of him.
You're a physician, Ron Paul, so you're a doctor. You know something about this subject. Let me ask you this hypothetical question. A healthy 30-year-old young man has a good job, makes a good living, but decides, you know what, I'm not going to spend $200 or $300 a month for health insurance because I'm healthy, I don't need it. But, you know, something terrible happens, all of a sudden he needs it. Who's going to pay for if he goes into a coma, for example? Who pays for that?
In a society that you accept welfarism and socialism, he expects the government to take care of him.
What do you want?
And Will Blitzer says, well, what do you want? And Ron Paul says, well, the guy should do whatever he wants to do. He's in a coma. How can he even know what the fuck he's supposed to want to do?
It narrows his choices a little.
It narrows his choices.
What he should do is whatever he wants to do and assume responsibility for himself. My advice to him would have a major medical policy, but not before.
But he doesn't have that. He doesn't have it, and he needs intensive care for 6 months. Who pays?
That's what freedom is all about, taking your own risk. This whole idea that you have to prepare and take care of everybody.
But, Congressman, are you saying the society should just let him die?
No. I practiced medicine before we had Medicaid in the early 1960s when I got out of medical school. I practiced at Santa Rosa Hospital in San Antonio, and the churches took care of him. We never turned anybody away from the hospital, and we've given up on this whole concept that we might take care of ourselves, assume responsibility for ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, our churches would do it. This whole idea, that's the reason the cost is so high. The cost is so high, we cause a dump it on the government, becomes a bureaucracy, it becomes special interest, it kowtows to the insurance companies and the drug companies. Then on top of that, you have the inflation.
It narrows his choices. So if you could just show the clip where, and this is the exchange that happens right after that, and you'll see if people.
But Congressman, are you saying that society should just let him die?
No.
Two.
You're right.
I'm gonna stop that right there. So as your Republican, so what they did was they made this dipshit look like a compassionate person, and they tried to make Ron Paul look like Dr. No, Dr. Evil, let the man die, fuck him. You know what I mean? When that's not what the man said, right? Now, you got 4 really intelligent people sitting up here. You telling me that these 4 people did not watch, and they said they watched the whole debate. So you saying that they have a different take on the debate than I do, or that anybody watching this would say, wait a minute, that's not what Ron Paul proposed. Ron Paul wasn't clapping for letting the guy die. He wasn't saying let this guy die. That's not even what was asked. That's not even the whole question that was asked of him, right? And then his response was, we are a compassionate society. We have, religious organizations. We can have community hospitals and different things that will take care of people that needed help.
I think we just scratched the surface, and that's really my fault. I should have scratched it more, but after I saw you in the debate, I said, you know what, this is a person who I really want to talk to a lot more.